The MaxDelta Hour, Episode 1. The game is real. Everybody tells you gaming is fake. It is not real life. It is wasting time. It is just pixels. It is just entertainment. Like it is some dumb shit you are supposed to grow out of. But here is the problem. Gaming may have been the most honest training simulator we ever had. Because in games, at least the rules are usually visible. You know the cost of the upgrade. You know the skill tree. You know when your build sucks. You know when a weapon got nerfed. You know when the economy is broken. You know when the devs screwed up the patch. You know when one faction is overpowered and everyone else is coping. Now look at real life. Money is resource management. Politics is rule changes and faction warfare. Culture is the story mode everyone is fighting to control. Technology is the weapon tree. And the economy? The economy is a live service game with whales, grinders, bots, exploiters, and people still stuck in the tutorial. So yeah, the game is real. And most people are losing because they never learned how to play. Welcome to the MaxDelta Hour. I am MaxDelta, Army veteran, author, gamer, investor, professional overthinker of civilization's slow-motion car crash. And this show is where politics, gaming, money, culture, tech, and real life all crash into each other. Not in the boring think tank way, in the real way. The way normal people talk about it when they are tired of being lied to, tired of being talked down to, and tired of pretending everything is fine. Today's episode is the foundation for the whole show. The game is real. Gaming was the tutorial. Money is the resource system. Policy is the patch notes. Culture is the story mode. Technology is the weapon tree. And your life is the character you are building every single day. So let's get into it. Now, let's start with the first big idea. Gaming was the tutorial. People love to act like games are just a waste of time. And yeah, if all you do is sit there and rage quit for 6 hours while learning nothing, maybe that is not exactly self-improvement. But games teach systems better than almost anything else. They teach you that effort matters, but effort alone does not win. You can grind for hours and still waste your time if you are farming the wrong resource. You can have the best weapon in the game and still get wrecked if your build is trash. You can know the map and still lose if you do not understand timing, positioning, or the current meta. That is real life. A lot of people work hard and still stay stuck because they are grinding the wrong system. They are playing by old rules. They are following outdated advice. They are ignoring incentives. They are refusing to read the damn patch notes. And then they wonder why the game feels rigged. And yes, sometimes it is. But that does not mean you stop learning how the damn thing works. Here is the truth. The game can be unfair and still have mechanics. Those are not opposites. A game does not have to be fair for strategy to matter. In fact, strategy matters more when the game is not fair. Because if everything was perfectly balanced, you could just button mash your way through life. But that is not where we live. We live in a world with bad spawns, broken builds, overpowered players, hidden mechanics, and people who started with better gear. That does not mean you give up. That means you learn the system. You stop playing emotionally. You stop blaming the controller. You stop running the same build after 5 nerfs. You adapt. That is what gamers understand instinctively. The meta changes. You either adjust or you get farmed. Now let's talk about money. Money is the resource system. Money is not everything. But let's not lie to ourselves. It matters a hell of a lot. Anybody who tells you money does not matter is either lying, selling you something, or already has enough of it to say that kind of bullshit with a straight face. Money is armor. Money is ammo. Money is stamina. Money is fast travel. Money is how you survive bad RNG. When you have no money, every mistake hits harder. A flat tire becomes a crisis. A missed paycheck becomes a spiral. A medical bill becomes a disaster. Bad debt becomes a debuff that follows you around. And the worst part is, being broke is expensive as hell. Late fees, higher interest, worse options, less time, more stress, fewer chances to recover. That is why financial literacy matters. Not because everyone needs to become a Wall Street genius. Not because everyone needs to stare at stock charts like a maniac, but because everyone needs to understand the game they are already playing. Debt is a mechanic. Interest is a mechanic. Inflation is a mechanic. Taxes are a mechanic. Assets are a mechanic. Income is a mechanic. Ownership is a mechanic. Time is a mechanic. These are not boring adult words. They are the rules of the resource system. And if you ignore them, you become farmable. The system loves consumers. It wants people buying skins, subscriptions, upgrades, status symbols, payment plans, and dopamine. It wants you chasing the cosmetic item while ignoring the skill tree. That is not an accident. That is the business model. But the player asks different questions. Does this make me stronger? Does this create income? Does this reduce risk? Does this buy freedom? Does this give me more control over my time? Does this help me build? That is the difference between spending like an NPC and building like a player. Policy is the patch notes. Now let's talk about politics. Policy is the patch notes. Politics is not just people yelling on TV like professional lunatics. Politics is not just blue team versus red team screaming into the void. Politics is patch notes. When tax policy changes, the game changes. When interest rates move, the game changes. When regulations change, businesses change. When trade policy changes, supply chains change. When energy policy changes, prices change. When crime policy changes, cities change. When education policy changes, the next generation changes. Every time the government changes the rules, the meta changes. Some people adapt, some people get crushed, and some people profit. Some people pretend nothing happened. That is why saying, "I do not care about politics," is not a serious position. You do not have to obsess over politics every second of your life. You do not have to turn into the guy at Thanksgiving who makes everyone regret showing up before the damn turkey is even cut. But pretending politics does not affect you is insane. That is like playing an online game and refusing to read the patch notes. You can ignore the update. The update is still going to affect your build. You may not care about the patch notes, but the patch notes care about you. Now let's talk about culture. Culture is the story mode. Culture is the narrative layer. It tells people what is heroic, what is shameful, what is normal, what is weird, who the villains are, who the heroes are, what kind of future people should expect. That is why movies, games, shows, music, influencers, schools, media, and social platforms matter. They are not just background noise. They are the story mode. And whoever controls the story mode controls what people think the game is about. A confident culture builds. A guilt-based culture apologizes itself into weakness. A culture that celebrates builders creates builders. A culture that celebrates victims creates dependency. A culture that hates its own heroes eventually runs out of heroes. This is where games, movies, politics, and real life all collide. Entertainment is not just entertainment anymore. It is worldview delivery with better graphics. That does not mean every movie needs to be a lecture. Actually, please stop making every damn movie a lecture. But stories shape people. Heroes shape people. Villains shape people. The future people imagine shapes the choices they make today. If every story tells people that civilization is evil, success is corrupt, strength is dangerous, and the future is hopeless, do not be surprised when people stop building. Culture is the story mode, and the story mode matters. Now let's talk about technology. Technology is the weapon tree. Every era has a weapon tree. At one point, it was land. Then it was factories. Then oil. Then finance. Then media. Then logistics. Now it is software, artificial intelligence, automation, data, platforms, algorithms, and attention. The people who learn the new tools early get an advantage. The people who ignore them get left behind and then wonder why the game feels impossible. That does not mean everyone has to become a coder. It does not mean everyone has to become an influencer. It does not mean everyone has to become a tech founder. But it does mean everyone needs to understand that technology is not some separate thing happening in the background. Technology changes what is possible. It changes who has leverage. It changes who gets replaced. It changes who can build faster. It changes who can compete. It changes who owns the future. A person using the right tools can now do what used to take a team. A small creator can build a media brand. A small business can look bigger than it is. A normal person can learn skills that used to be locked behind institutions. That is the opportunity. But there is also a warning. The same tools that give you leverage can also farm your attention. Algorithms can educate you. They can also trap you. AI can help you build. It can also replace you if you refuse to adapt. Technology is the weapon tree. Pick up the tools. Learn the mechanics. Do not be the guy running into a boss fight with starter gear because you were too stubborn to open the damn inventory menu. So what is the real-life meta? The real-life meta right now is obvious. Own assets. Learn technology. Build a brand. Control your health. Understand money. Pay attention to policy. Create instead of only consuming. Find your people. Stop waiting for permission. That is the build. The old path was simple. Go to school, get a job, buy a house, retire safely. That path still works for some people, but it is not automatic anymore. The economy changed. Technology changed. Culture changed. The cost of living changed. Trust in institutions changed. The path got more complicated. So the player has to get smarter. You need a money build, a skill build, a health build, a network build, a media literacy build, a backup plan. Because whether you pay attention or not, the game keeps updating. And the people running the game are not always balancing it for you. Shocking, I know. And finally, stop playing like an NPC. The easiest way to lose is to outsource your thinking and let other people install garbage software in your head. Let the media tell you what matters. Let politicians tell you who to blame. Let corporations tell you what to buy. Let algorithms tell you what to feel. Let culture tell you what you are allowed to say. That is NPC mode. NPCs react. Players read the map. Player mode asks better questions. Who benefits? What changed? What is the incentive? What is the cost? What is the risk? What is the opportunity? What am I being distracted from? How do I build from here? That is the entire point of the MaxDelta Hour. Politics, gaming, money, culture, tech, and real life are not separate topics. They are connected systems. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The game is real. Money is the resource system. Policy is the patch notes. Culture is the story mode. Technology is the weapon tree. And your life is the character you are building every single day. So read the patch notes. Build your stats. Stack your resources. Find your faction. And stop playing like an NPC. Start giving a damn about your own build. This has been the MaxDelta Hour. I am MaxDelta. Check out the full blog post, the episode 1 show notes, and the MaxDelta briefs at maxdelta-hour.vercel.app, and join the Discord, because the game is real, and we are just getting started.